my music tends to pull from lots of different genres, and stylistic worlds. So it's hard to say I'm a classical composer or I'm a jazz composer because it's all pulling from different places.
Perfect. Okay.
For Collingswood composer Joshua Stamper, creating a score for live performance is an organic, multi-layered process that blends not only musical genres, but the mediums of dance and film as well. Choreographer Lea Fulton plays an integral role in bringing the music scores, themes, and ideas to life on stage. And filmmaker Ben Stamper, Joshua's brother, creates a visual layer that incorporates the movement of both dance and natural imagery.
My role is to prepare video to work in conjunction with the music and the dance, sort of as a third character. Working with my brother is just a very fluid experience. We easily complete each other's thoughts all the time. Working with my brother is fantastic. Sort of our artistic sensibilities really overlap, but they overlap such that communication is really quick. We have our own spin on how we approach things artistically and creatively, but I can't think of a time when we're ever truly out of sync.
Joshua Stamper's latest project is an ambitious 4-part multimedia series called Elements, and the first chapter is entitled Rivers, with the dynamic nature of water as its focus.
Elements in general is all about the 4 classical elements, water, wind, fire, earth, and how they're manifest. And Rivers is focused on the Schuylkill River and the Delaware River, and how those rivers have shaped Philly through its history, and vice versa, how Philadelphia has impacted the rivers. One thing that I'm really trying to do with each of these different elements is kind of shift the roles of music, shift the roles of dance, shift the roles of film. So we'll have a screen where there's film images of the Schuylkill and the Delaware, but also of buildings and bridges that had some kind of historic relationship to the rivers. The reason why Josh chose this particular location is because one of the themes that he's talking about in the Rivers project is industry and how industry is related to water. This is sort of an old, beautiful, decrepit symbol of industry changing and society changing. It's sort of the embodiment of industry using the rivers from days gone by. When we arrived on location, we immediately were drawn to this giant pile of old pianos, kind of a piano graveyard. So Lea and I were inspired to just do an impromptu dance piece. Footage from that will eventually make its way into the projection for Rivers. You have these compelling images of the rivers and the factories and whatnot, but you also have the same dancers end up in the screen interacting with these spaces in the same kind of vocabulary. And you have, movements that are mirrored or movements that are anticipated. The dancers on stage start interacting with their own reflections, and it really kind of highlights the reflective quality of water.
Dancers serve the critical role of affecting preparations for the instruments with a variety of materials, changing the sound live on stage.
Typically in any kind of prepared piano piece, you spend 2 to 3 hours preparing all these materials, but in this piece, all those preparations are happening in real time and are changing. They're not static preparations, they're dynamic preparations. So yeah, it's exciting to have the role of dance shift from just responding to the music to directly impacting the music, where the dancers almost become extensions of the instruments themselves. The currents that are near the bed of the river are moving at a different rate than the currents at the top of the river. The sounds near the surface, as you might expect, are wispier. So for example, with the palming on the cello, it's kind of getting at that in contrast to these rollers on the bass strings of the piano, which are evocative of these really deep currents that move really slowly. The sound of each of those different things is really exciting to me. He enjoys the idea that atonality and dissonance, when used properly, can be gorgeous. The experience is very much like hearing music 6 blocks down the road, and you can hear things that are happening, but it's not
defined. And the process of composing, for me, often feels like just walking towards the source of the music. When I actually finally get there, then I've finished writing the piece. And when I hear a piece of music that I've written for the first time, the experience that I have most often is, it worked. That's so cool.